Welcome, 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 geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have Dr. Tom Wagner on talking about resilience and creativity, one of his Sunday morning cafe events that you'll be able to attend August 2nd. After that, my interview with Josh Gates talking about Expedition Unknown, the newest season on the Discovery Channel. We'll dig into the PlayStation 6 debacle and more. Joey V will review Jackass. Stand by!
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area listening to us on the big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you. Thank you. Hopefully you're staying cool on this rather warm July 5th evening. If you're streaming us on YouTube and Facebook, hello to all of you watching. We appreciate you doing that. If you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form on whatever platform you do receive your podcasts, we appreciate you listening there as well. Hopefully on those platforms you can subscribe to us. That way you get notified every time we do post a new live episode, like on youtube.com. Click the bell and you'll be notified every time we go live, so you never have to miss one. And that means you won't be able to miss our weekly trivia segment that we started in June. This time you get a free scoop at Clementine's, good for any of the locations around the greater St. Louis area. All you need to do is answer a trivia question, which I will now design. True or false? First person to text the answer, true or false, in at 84126 or call us on the KTRS lines 314-931-5877 will win one petite free scoop at Clementine's. True or false? My middle name is Betty. There you go. True or false. Couldn't be easier. We'll watch for the text and the calls to come through on that very simple trivia question to get your Clementines. You can get some of their traveling flavors like the creme brulee, their mango lassi from India, or one of their normal flavors if you like the bourbon and banana. If you're a boozy guy like me, that's a good choice too. Vegan and gluten-free options available as well. Clementines have a lot of locations around the St. Louis area. Make sure you check them out. Even if you don't win, go check them out. It's summer. Go get some ice cream. With that said, we're joined by our guest. We have Dr. Tom Wagner in studio with us. Thank you for coming in. This is the event coming up on August the 2nd in Webster Groves, talking about resilience and creativity. Thanks for your time.
That is right. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. So this is great to talk to you. One of my degrees, I'm not sure if Logan told you this, I have 2 degrees. One of them is in psychology. It's only a bachelor's degree, but I'm always fascinated to talk about topics like this. And I read on your website kind of your journey that brought you to doing these events. For people who may not have seen the website yet, tell people a little bit about resilience research and what you've done.
Well, so it depends on if I can tell the long story or the short story, but kind of in a nutshell, well, frankly, when you study psychology, you can spend all your time looking at what's broken, or you can kind of train your eye on people who make it through tough circumstances and don't break. Or if they do break, they put themselves back together again one way or the other. And I found that to be way less depressing.
Yeah.
So when I was getting busy coming up with what I would write my book about in grad school to get a doctorate, I didn't want to be depressed for 3 years of my life. So I wanted to see people, like, for instance, in marriages, how do they pull off, like, against the odds, making something work that makes no sense that they did that. And I'm also a psychotherapist. And so over and over and over again, people with trauma, people who've been through all kinds of awful things, I just kind of sit at their feet and learn what is it that helped people to stay standing. I love this metaphor that a resilience researcher is like a structural engineer that goes into earthquake zones not to study the buildings that fell, but the ones that stayed standing strong.
That's a great metaphor.
Yeah, and it's so what you end up with is much more of a positivity focus, much more of a and it's kind of a no BS thing. You know, like I wouldn't want to give the impression it's like how do you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Much more of a focus on realistically, what are those tricks people do? What are the skills they pick up? What even like what's inborn in them, and what do they develop to make it through really hard things? So things like people who've made it through the kind of child abuse as a child that no one should have to go through, but here they are with successful careers, with lifelong relationships, pulling off affectionate and faithful relationships with kids and spouses. How are they pulling that off? That's always caught my attention. If I tell a longer story, I'll tell the story of my own childhood that had some abuse in it. Not only that, lots of good things too, but it kind of trained my eyes on how do you make this work for yourself.
Yeah.
So that was my personal stake in it. And along the way, kind of some amazing spiritual experiences I had that made me train my eye on people to see what is that inner resource people have that's hard to put a scientific name to it, but it's unmistakable. That the line I like to use for the Sunday Morning Cafe Project is that what's deepest within us is most universal between us. I want to get to that deep thing, and I want to talk about that deep thing, and I want to get the story about that deep thing from people. So I think that's my nutshell version of what I'm up to.
So going back to you writing, getting your doctorate degree and everything like that, normally it's one of the reasons I didn't have the head to go through with a doctorate in psychology. Like I said, bachelor's as far as I got. But it's all about statistics, repeatability, studies. It sounds like if you're doing like a case-by-case thing, I don't mean this to sound dismissive, anecdotal, and it's person by person. It's not something that's studied in a broad scope. So I find it fascinating that this is how because it seems like you walk the harder path in getting your doctorate.
Well, so you could use the word anecdotal. I prefer to use the word qualitative. So in phenomenological research, qualitative research, case study research.
Yes.
You want to get deep enough into the content and get that deep enough story where it's no longer anecdotal, but you start finding the things that are universal between these case studies that begin to add up to something more than anecdotal. But I appreciate that you have that nuance that you can think of it that way, because that would be a trap to fall into. That this is a cool story, and so we're just going to stay with that story. But you want to hear that story over and over again until it saturates. It's like this is a signature story, not just a thing I happened upon. Yeah. And it's funny you say I didn't have the head for it. Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
You might be surprised. There's not a lot going on up here.
Well, so maybe you're the resilience guy I got to talk to. So the PhD work, though, is just somebody's willing to stay with it. I think that's what the big thing is. Just like what you're doing right now. People look at what you're doing and go, how do you stay with a thing like this? It's that stick-to-itiveness that goes, I love this.
Yeah.
And even when I don't love it, I'm going to stay with it until I love it again. It's like that. Yeah.
That's one of you talk about the universal human condition that connects all of us. I think that's one of the reasons hopeful movies go so well. We talk about Rogue One, rebellions were built on hope, all these things where it's the little guy fighting back, Rocky IV, I'm taking broad stroke cinematic examples, but I feel like that's what people want to go see at the movies is that hope, the underdog coming through. It's kind of what you're talking about.
It is, and here we are on July 5th, so our national story. I'm just convinced that American people, they want a story of the comeback kid. They want the story of the person who was down and they came back. It's kind of our foundational story. It's kind of like our theme song is that Kenny Rogers song about how every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. Just depends on how you play it. So we admire those people that don't take that crappy hand of cards and just throw it in, but say, let me see what I can make out of that. And that's been my fascination with resilience research. The godfather of resilience research is Viktor Frankl. His laboratory were the death camps in Germany. That's where he discovered that people with a sense of purpose and meaning seemed like they're able to get through and survive longer in the same conditions as the people who, same conditions, but they don't have that sense of purpose, so they die more quickly.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of this whole, in modern psychology at least. I mean, in classic literature, of course, you find those same themes, but in modern psychology, he was the grandfather of it. And so that idea that here in America, we want to study those people who are down and out, and they somehow founded a nation, or got us through the Civil War, or thought he was an alcoholic general, but he was a hell of a general.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, Young Washington out in theaters right now. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I don't know if you've seen it or...
I haven't seen it, but I've read Cherno's biography on him. Not a very good tactician in war, but a hell of a leader.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like they always say, Henry Kissinger wasn't a good-looking guy, but the charisma he had attracted people to him
and ladies.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna be a little nicer, but yes,
yeah.
You're entirely correct.
I'm old enough to remember looking at him and thinking, how is he doing that?
It's that confidence that I think the kids call it swag now.
Maybe
I'm not sure if that's still it, or Riz. Sorry, Riz.
Plus, that accent didn't hurt a thing.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If you're just now joining us, we're talking with Dr. Tom Wagner. The events that you've got, the Sunday morning cafe events.
Yes.
So how long have those been going on for?
That's been just over a year. Now,
Okay.
my blog has been going probably in one form or another like 20 years, where I've been using the vehicle of storytelling to tell stories of resilience and to kind of like look at spiritual topics from a kind of a non-spiritual linguistic way of going about it. I'm trying to pitch that experience of, so let me just, in all candor, when I was going through that thing as a child where things were falling apart in my family, I was getting my ass kicked on a regular basis. Can I say that word on this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
It's fine,
okay.
yeah.
My butt kicked, how's that? On a regular basis. In the middle of all that, and I became like very skilled at smoking exotic vegetables and not going to school and not doing sports anymore and just flunking out and all that. So, well, in the middle of that, I go on this retreat so that I can get high because I'm grounded from life. And I have a couple of like powerful experiences, like getting hit with a fire hose of love. And being a good Catholic boy, I thought I'll just go to the seminary and study to be a Catholic priest. Discovered after 6 years that I was no good at celibacy, so I left. But
6 years. That was a little bit of a research project there.
That's a lot of experimentation,
Right.
yeah, to find out I failed at it. The data came back. It wasn't great. So in any case, I never lost that interest in spirituality and studying it any which way I could. And so those dual interests of resilience and spirituality, to say what is that core of the human person where the unbounded lives, where the where what's infinite that's on the inside, whether it gets named that way or doesn't get named that way. And how do you tap that for people? And so this Sunday morning cafe project, that's where the word Sunday comes in, because people associate that with spirituality. Sunday morning, you know.
Right, sure.
And cafes, I think, are kind of modern day churches. When I was growing up, malls were.
Oh, yeah.
But now they aren't anymore. But the coffee shop is where people turn off their devices enough to talk to one another of all ages, multi-generational. So that Sunday morning cafe, that's where the name comes from. The events got started about a year ago when I decided that we need much more conversation with each other that goes way deeper than the conversations I keep seeing on social media and keep even seeing on the news programs that I dial into. So I'm trying to take people to a deeper place in these events that are part retreat and part party. So I make sure there's really good adult beverages and high quality food, because that's something I've noticed because I'm a very good cook. If you put good food out for people, they'll stick around.
Oh, yeah.
And when they stick around, their conversations go deeper in proportion to the depth of the culinary skill and the adult beverages. And the next thing you know, you've got something fairly deep. And I always make sure there's musical entertainment, because what I've also discovered is somebody picks up an instrument in the midst of that, you're going to get something like community showing up. So I'm trying to give people a kind of retreat experience that's also a party where you leave with this sense of things are right with the world. Now, here's the funny thing. I call it Sunday Morning Cafe, and we always do them on Sunday evenings.
I saw that was 4 to 6 p.m. I was like, wait a minute, that's not the morning.
We're just messing with it. You know how it goes. Yeah, just to
So
throw a
Sunday
curveball.
morning rolls off the tongue a little bit more, I guess, than Sunday evening.
Well, it's just that was what the blog and the podcast have always been. And so when we do this, we always just have to make it a point going, yeah, and it's in the evening. And the reason for the evening, it seems to be that's the spot where people can show up. In the week, that spot at about 4 o'clock seems to be where people are generally free. So that's why we put the spot right there. And we found this really wildly cool venue in Webster Groves at Eden Seminary. They've got this kind of Hogwarts dining room space. So we're always using that space. It's like, stone and wood and chandeliers.
Floating candles?
Well, maybe. I mean, if you have enough
Depends on how many you've...
adult beverages,
Right.
that's right there.
Exactly.
Floating candles,
Right.
that's right. That's right.
That should be the name of a beverage if you get a...
Ooh.
Just saying.
Just a little wax top on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Makes it go down smooth.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who doesn't like a beverage that's on fire? Come on. That's
There are those, I think.
Are they?
Actually. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I
There
think
you
so.
go.
So this next one coming up, a lot of these, I've kind of been the main speaker of them. Lately, I've been shifting. Last time we had one of these, Dr. Tim Bono, who's a happiness researcher, his classes are always sold out at WashU, and he's an author in happiness. I had him come and give his take on resilience. The event coming up, Royce Martin is a happening musician in the St. Louis area. In fact, he's popping right now, and he's beginning to get a national footprint.
Wow.
So what I want to do is interview that guy, because my understanding of him is he had a musical interest but didn't have the funds for a piano, so Pianos for People donates one to his family.
Oh, neat.
He takes that and he develops it. And the next thing you know, he's off to Berkeley majoring in ragtime and Scott Joplin.
Wow.
And he is now the foremost player of ragtime. And this guy's like in his 20s. Easy on the eyes for the ladies and anybody else, I suppose. So that doesn't hurt a thing. But he's got a great singing voice. Very creative, and in fact, he's created a new genre of music called swag time, where he's taking ragtime and either he's bringing that to hip hop and to rap, or he's bringing hip hop and rap into ragtime. Either way, it's a brand new genre. What I want to look at is the resilience of a person who goes from not being able to afford a piano to someone who's becoming like really big in a brand new genre of music that he created.
Yeah,
because
that's really neat.
Well, what I'm learning about creative people is there's a fair amount, there's a lot of risk and vulnerability that look what I'm looking at right now. You've done creative things. That feeling you get that I've got to do it, I want to study that. I want to ask people about that. I've got to do this. And you remember how that felt for you. And you also remember, like, the other thing you hear from everybody who's creative is, what the hell do I think I'm doing here? You know?
That's every day when I wake up. I ask myself that question.
That's it. In fact, there's a book called The Courage to Create by Rollo May, who was an existentialist, a psychoanalyst in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. His book, he uses the myth of Prometheus, where he creates fire so the Greek gods are mad at him, so birds come at night and peck out his liver every night. And then it grows back, and the next day the same thing happens. He said that's every creative person. They have to create. So Prometheus goes back and sits down again and does it. He's like, I would not create fire. I had to do it. So that's what I think Royce is doing. That's probably what you've been doing, is you try to create this fire. You don't know how it's going to go, and there's all kinds of risk to it. The other thing I'm fascinated by is when you bring your baby into the world. I've had kids. You don't want to hand your baby to somebody and have them go, well, it's okay. Or it's mostly okay, but kind of ugly, you know? And that's what every creative person has to face. So I want to know, where do you find the resilience to pull that off a day at a time? So could I ask you?
It's mostly out of spite for my naysayers. That's how I thrive on caffeine and spite.
Yes. Yes.
See, I would identify more, instead of Prometheus, I identify more with Sisyphus, rolling the boulder up the hill every day. That's kind of my feeling about most of the stuff. So,
well, you know, it's steady work.
Yeah, I mean, you won't, never get
that
old.
Rock,
Just,
you
know what you're doing.
Make that roll.
You know what you're doing every day, at least.
Yeah. So that part of it, and then the other part that's just interesting to me is just the creative process. In the music industry, Rick Rubin is fascinating to me. Who just, who hasn't he produced? It seems like
right.
But he wrote that book on the creative process, where he doesn't use the word God, but you almost get that sense that there's something in the universe that's trying to break into our world, and this person's onto it, and they just have to channel it. I've heard Roseanne Cash say something like that before. Heard Carole King say, I never know what my music means until a fan who listens to my music tells me. So that those kinds of, and I've heard that from other creative people. So I'd kind of like to hear, how do people tap that creative process? How do they feel it tapping on their shoulder that says, I got to do this? Yeah. Sometimes you'll hear people make this kind of case that it's the mentally ill, the tortured soul like Van Gogh, that, and if you take that away, they won't be able to create anymore. I hope that's not true. I hope it's not true. I've heard some people say, like, is it Mulaney, the comedian, who said, now that I'm done with my drug habit, I'm better than I ever have been. So he's like, no, I don't want to go back.
Right.
So I hope he's right.
Yeah.
In any case, I'm finding that really fast. So this is brand new for me, cracking into looking at resilience in the creative process. So I'm really hoping. So the way this event's going to go is I'll interview Royce, and we'll record that. But I'm hoping that what we can do is interview him with the kinds of questions that give way for him to show off his music too. So I don't want to be too top heavy with engaging in conversation. I want to really leave him free to play, because I've gotten to hear him, and that's why I asked him. I've gotten to hear him play a few times, and he's got something going that's really special.
Wow.
Yeah. So I won't talk too much when I'm with him. Let's get it all done here.
That's right. We'll get it all out, and we'll just let Royce play.
That's right. Contain me here.
This is, again, for those of you, I know Joey V's got it up on the screen for those of you watching, but if you're listening right now, it is August the 2nd, which is a Sunday, obviously. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Doors open at 3 for appetizers and drinks. It's the Schroer Commons at Eden Theological Seminary, which is at 479 East Lockwood Avenue in Webster Groves. Tickets are $25, students and young adults for $10. And we're going to have that QR code there. We will actually put a link to this. If you're listening to this after the fact in the podcast form, we'll have a link to it's tomwagnerspeaker.com/events. We'll have a link to that, though, in the show notes. So if you're hearing this after the fact, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and that'll be in the show notes for you to click on. We are going to take a very quick commercial break. We're going to come back. If you have any questions, I never look at the chats. You all know this. If you have any questions, you want to leave them for us, you can text us on the KTRS text lines at 84126. You can also, if you would like, give us a call on the KTRS lines at 314-931-5877. We're going to take a very brief commercial break. We'll come right back, continuing our conversation with Dr. Tom Wagner. We're going to have my interview with Josh Gates about Expedition Unknown, Joey V's Jackass review, and our conversation about Sony coming up. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Please stand by.
You are controlling the fastest train in the world, the most revolutionary machine on tracks, the incredible Super Turbo Train. So fast it travels in scale, beyond the speed of sound. So powerful, it can do what no other train can do. Race up a wall, defying gravity. Now the ultimate. You streak upside down through the giant loop. You turn out the lights and you're in night glow, streamlining the darkness. Take control of the fastest train in the world. Super Turbo Train, new from Tyco.
Here's the real thing in racing thrills. Here are Tonka's new Power Punchers, pocket-sized cars. You can rev them up and pow, pow, Power Punchers. You can race them and run them, jump them and bump them.
A Tonka toy will Tonka tongue for fun, fun, fun.
A pocket full of fun. Power Punchers, each sold separately. New from Tonka.
Why don't you drive a Tonka?
Well-qualified buyers through Kia Finance. 2026 K4, $36.95 to its signing. Discount includes $850 in lease cash. 10,000 miles per year. No security deposit. Plus tax, title, license, and admin fee expires 7/31/26.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to the show. Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Edenstall. I want to make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. DiscoverSt.Charles.com. Maybe you've not been out to St. Charles in a while. Maybe it's like, we're looking for something to do, but it's just so hot out. All the restaurants and shops are air conditioned. It's a great time to go out there, hit the cobblestones. You can get if you go out there on Saturday or a Sunday, you can get a big old cinnamon roll from Sugar and Slice, and then walk down with your iced latte and stroll the cobblestone streets. A lot of cool shops that are out there. These are all small local businesses, so your money's not going to a big box store or to make some billionaire even richer. These are going to a small business here local in your community. That money stays in your community, so you can go and shop places like First Capital Trading Inc. or the Cozy Shop or Jake's on Main. One of those places, and you can always have a great meal. If you're looking for barbecue, they've got it on Main Street. If you want a little more upscale fare, they've got it on Main Street. Maybe you just want to kick back, have a pizza, they've got it on Main Street. Check out the website, DiscoverStCharles.com, for all the information. You can see all the things there are to do, whether it's an event happening like one of their big festivals, Christmas Traditions or Legends and Lanterns. Maybe it's an ice sculpting event, not in this weather, obviously, but in January they do ice sculpting. There's always something happening on Main Street, and it's just a beautiful area. The cobblestone streets, Frontier Park, right there with the Katy Depot on the river. It's gorgeous. Go out and just have a picnic if you want. Have some fun, bike ride the Katy Trail. Wherever you are, if you're on the West Coast, East Coast, maybe you're up north, maybe you're down in Louisiana, want to check someplace new off your bucket list, start your trip at the website, DiscoverStCharles.com. That's DiscoverStCharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. We're chatting here for just a few minutes more with Dr. Tom Wagner, talking about resilience, creativity, and his event coming up on Sunday in Webster Groves. I'm curious, you mentioned spirituality. Sunday mornings, you always think church. This is for anybody, any walk of life. It's not regulated to any particular.
That's absolutely right. It's people of any faith and no faith whatsoever. My bias is that there is an unlimited core to every person. And the more you can get down into the depth of conversation or the content that's deep enough, you want to be able to get to that place with a person somehow. Yeah. So does that answer the question okay?
It does. No,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah,
I just kind of want, because you mentioned spirituality. I didn't want people thinking, oh, if you're not religious, this is
I
going to
could
be
go
for
to
you.
church or
It's for
something.
anybody.
Yeah,
It's for
that's
anybody.
right.
That's kind of just wanted to make that point. And if you
That's
like
right.
good music, it sounds like this one with Royce is really going to be.
It will be something special. I guarantee that, yeah. And like I said earlier, I will be working to interview him to understand about the creative process, to understand about resilience and creativity. But I also want to get out of his way so he has a chance to show off what he knows how to do, unlike anyone else. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm assuming this is going on for a little over a year now. You said, I'm assuming you've got people coming back. Like, this one won't be their first, but if someone has never been to it before, do you want to kind of lay out any expectations for someone who's new?
Oh, come with a desire to have fun. You know, you'll get there and there'll be really great food, and there will be cocktails to be able to just kind of mill around in a patio environment outdoors at this venue at Shore Commons at Eden Seminary. And on the inside, like I said, it's going to be like it's this turn of the century, and by turn of the century, I mean turn of the 20th century, dining room that will totally remind you of Hogwarts. In the wintertime when we've done it, we've had big fires in their fireplace.
Cool.
We don't do that now. We open up all the windows and doors.
Right.
If the weather's nice for it. If not, it's air conditioned, fine. And it's great. Got a great sound system. The grand piano's freshly tuned for him. So, you know, you'll be meandering around. We'll get started, and then you'll hear great music, great conversation. You will be able to ask questions, too. I mean, the venue is of a size where we'll bring a mic around to people so they can speak up with whatever their questions are, their observations are. So we'll kind of have a free-form conversation like you and I are having right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then it'll end within 2 hours, and at that point, people are free to kind of like walk to the restaurants that Webster Groves has to offer, or we have our own ice cream place that will remain nameless that's nearby and walkable because I'm just going to see if I can win the Clementine's
there you
gift
go.
certificate, because I can't imagine your middle name's Betty. Elizabeth, I
Well,
could see, but Betty, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's very off-putting because some people can't really guess normally, and that's a good guess though. That you're probably correct.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's actually Veronica. I don't want to lie.
Oh,
so it's,
that's a
how
nice
it,
name.
Yeah,
I've always liked that
named
name.
after my grandma. So it's but if you're listening to this right now and that sounds like fun, if that checks a lot of boxes for you between music, between just that relaxed atmosphere, and it's very positive, upbeat, like I feel better having talked to you. So if that all sounds like something that checks some boxes to you and you want to check it out, again, it's August 2nd, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. with the doors opening at 3 o'clock. Your tickets can be purchased online, $25, or for student, young adult, $10. TomWagnerSpeaker.com. And if you're listening to this after the fact, in the show notes, scroll down to the bottom of the page. We'll have a link right there, take you to his website to get your tickets. Last word, you. Anything else you want to impart to our listeners before you head off into the night?
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, give us a try. So SundayMorningCafe.com is a way that you can bounce into all this information. Also, the TomWagnerSpeaker.com is another way to do it. But you can pick up my blog on a weekly basis that way, or my podcast. So come to the event, but also just join up with us for the ongoing conversation. My blog and my my podcast, I present content along with reflection questions that are good for conversation with friends, with yourself, in your journal, or wherever how you want to go about that. Yeah.
Resilience and creativity, I think, are two things that everyone could use more of nowadays. So I'm excited to have met you. Thank you very much for coming in the studio tonight.
Great to meet you.
Of course, Dr.
Yeah.
Tom Wagner, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
All right. Take care. Bye.
There he goes. We're going to take another quick commercial break while I see him out of the studio. So if you're listening right now, stay tuned. We're going to be coming right back in just a few moments. We'll take your calls and questions about Sony later on. And, of course, Joey V's review of Jackass, plus my interview with Josh Gates coming up next. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Please stand by.
Hunter Jeep CJ and Roving Wrecker come with everything shown here, each sold separately from Tonka.
Come with me to a place.
You'll be glad that you did. With so much more, oh what a store with Toys R Us kids. It's a magical land, so where else would you go? When everything's at Toys R Us
And prices are low.
If it's new and hot, it's a toy they've got.
And the prices are hard to beat.
You can search the whole world, but Toys R Us kids know it's the one and only place to go.
More games, more toys, oh fun!
It's the world's biggest toy store.
Now you can imagine all the power in the universe. The Masters of the Universe collection. 23 pieces, each sold separately. There's He-Man and these heroic action figures, Skeletor and the Warriors of Evil, and 4 fighting creatures. Castle Grayskull, Point Dread, and the Talon Fighter. You put them together. And battle machines like the Attack Track, batteries not included. What would you do with all the power in the universe? He-Man, Skeletor, and all other items from the Masters of the Universe collection, each sold separately. From Mattel.
So the girl filled her cart in the Toys R Us store. And when that cart was filled with toys, she filled up 15 more.
Get Mattel's Feeling Fun.
Well, hi there, sugar. This is Lenore Zan, Rogue, and I am coming to you from Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to the show. If you missed our interview with Lenore Zan, the voice of Rogue from X-Men 97, you can check out past episodes of the show at geektomeradio.com, and you can even search by the celebrity like Lenore Zan or maybe Adrian Hall, who we had on, voice Nightcrawler, or one of our many guests we've had. This segment brought to you by Bugs Comics and Games. Speaking of X-Men 97, I know people are going crazy right now. They're freaking out over the new episodes of X-Men 97 that have dropped, and I know people have renewed interest in X-Force and X-Factor now. If you're wanting to get in on some of this Marvel mutant mayhem, check out Bugs Comics and Games. Go out and tell them, hey, I'm looking for some X-Men back issues, or I want the X-Force issues where Archangel is part of the team. Whatever it may be, Larry will point you in the right direction. Larry, who owns Bugs Comics and Games, is incredibly knowledgeable. He always says he has a doctor of comicology, and you can put that to the test. Ask him a question, a certain issue you're looking for. I've got this cover in mind. It had Spider-Man. He's kind of turning into the Hulk. He'll know which issue of Web of Spider-Man that is and point you in the right direction if he has it. And I'd be surprised if he doesn't, because he has a lot of back issues on hand. Check him out on Facebook.com, Bugs Comics and Games, and also follow him on Instagram, Instagram.com, Bugs Comics and A&D Games, and you can go get new comics every Wednesday. You can start a pull list with him so you never miss out on an issue of Absolute Batman or Infernal Hulk or whatever it is you're collecting, like the new Dork comics that are out. That's going quickly. Whatever it is, put it on your pull list. That way you don't have to worry about missing out on the comic. Bugs Comics and Games. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. One of those interviews I always have the chance to do. They'll send them to me on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday morning. Hey, can you talk to this person? I'm always like, yes, because I want more content. And I love the idea of this particular show. Expedition Unknown on Discovery Channel had a brand new season. Here's my conversation with the host of the show and star, Josh Gates. Right now, we're joined by professional adventurer Josh Gates. He's got the show on Discovery Channel, Expedition Unknown, Emmy Award-winning series. It's back with all new episodes as of the 26th. Josh, thanks for your time.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. When I look at all this, I'm going over the information for you and for the show and everything, and I can't imagine a more fun job than being a real-life Indiana Jones. It has to be so exciting every day you wake up on a new adventure.
Well, getting called the real-life Indiana Jones is as good as it gets, so I appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
Of course, and I looked at your when going back, grew up in Massachusetts, Tufts University, Medford, the double majoring in our college, our archaeology and drama. That seems like it's perfectly made for what you're doing.
It's so funny because at the time it seemed like a nutty thing to do. My poor parents, who were so supportive of me, they were like, "What would you ever do with these 2 degrees?" And I really had no idea. I knew I loved archaeology and history, but I also loved performing and storytelling. And it took me, I don't know, it took me 10 years to even consider combining those in some way. And it really wasn't until I got a lucky break doing a hosting opportunity that I was like, oh, right, I could do both of these. So now, I have this amazing opportunity to write and to host a show and to kind of feed that part of my interest, but also to really go all over the world and investigate amazing history and amazing archaeology.
And I have to ask, because this isn't obviously the first show you've hosted or worked on with the Ghost Hunters thing. There's there's a lot of legend and lore to everything you're doing, whereas the Ghost Hunters is more of a supernatural. Do you feel more comfortable in one aspect or the other? Does this one feel more grounded to you when you're doing Expedition Unknown versus some of the paranormal stuff?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say that Expedition Unknown is certainly more grounded. A lot of these stories are archaeological, so they're literally grounded. They're in the ground. But, from a storytelling perspective, I love both types of shows. I mean, one of the great things about looking for, Bigfoot or looking for a, ghost story is the barrier to entry is really simple, right? Like all I need to do is to say to you, here's a person who is sane and normal and grounded, and they had an experience that scared them over in those woods over there. And now we're going to go into those woods and see what's there, right? That's as simple as it gets. It's like they had an experience and we have an experience. So from a storytelling perspective, there's an elegance to those stories. And they're naturally very alluring because they have the threat of, it's like a horror film. It's like there's a lot of tension in those stories. Sometimes with the archaeological stories, there's a taller bar to clear. I mean, if we're going to do a show on the Tiwanaku civilization, I got to tell you a whole bunch about the Tiwanaku to get you invested because you may not know who these people are.
Yeah.
Right. And so they have different storytelling challenges. My own personal interest, I love being down in the dirt with archaeologists, working with them and discovering items from our past. I mean, nothing is more exciting to me than that.
And not just down in the dirt on this two-part season opener, you're down in the depths. This is a World War II hell ship that the Japanese prisons that would transport Allied servicemen on. I can't imagine, people are terrified of going deep sea diving with all the animals and the marine life and the sharks you've got, but then dealing with, the added challenge of not just digging for something that's lost, but you're in basically hostile area in the deep sea. This must have had an added layer of danger to it, I can assume.
Yeah, I mean, this show, our premiere two-part episode, which is rolling out this week and next week on Discovery Channel. These episodes are really exciting, and I think they're really emotionally impactful shows. They certainly were for me. Yes, it is dangerous diving. These wrecks that we're looking for sit in deep water. One of them's down at 170 feet, very bad visibility. But these hell ships are an important part of World War II that a lot of people, myself included, probably have never heard of. I mean, these ships were big prison transport ships used by the Japanese to move Allied POWs, prisoners, around the Pacific. And a lot of Allied soldiers went down on these ships when they sank. And so we're joining researchers who are looking for the final location of a ship known as the Hafuku Maru, who was bombed during the war, and she went down with over 1,000 Allied POWs aboard. So diving down to these wrecks, it is nerve-wracking. It is scary. These wrecks are big, twisted, jagged metal structures. There's lots of dangers down there. But it also feels like a responsibility when you're down there, to try to tell this story. And there are a lot of folks who gave everything for this country who have been waiting in the darkness for 80 years. And so, it's that fear is overridden by a real sense that this is an important story that really wants to be told.
And I think, my dad fought in World War II. We just celebrated the 82nd anniversary of D-Day earlier this month. We're celebrating the country's 250th anniversary. Were any of the considerations kind of deciding, hey, this is the two-parter we're going to premiere with? Or is it just the order in which you find these archaeological sites and everything like that? How does the scheduling of which episode is going to be the premiere versus later in the season, how does that kind of how do those challenges affect the programming aspect of the show?
It's a great question, and it is an unknown to us when we set out. Like when we set out to do this new season, our season includes these hell ships from World War II. We're also looking for lost pirate ships off the coast of Jamaica. We're looking for the remnants of a civilization in Mexico, deep in these caves. We're looking for Inca treasure tunnels. So it's a big season, right? We don't really know when we start out which one is going to definitely lead the pack. We're pretty sure that the things we film last can't be the first things that we film. That's a little too difficult to edit usually. But this Hellship show, we did not necessarily know when we started out what we were going to find or what kind of access we were going to have. And so as this story started to unfold, it wasn't even a two-parter at first. It was a single hour, and it just got bigger and bigger, and we got this remarkable access from these organizations. And so pretty soon we knew we were part of something really special here, and so that's when we expanded it to a 2-hour show. So much like the expeditions are unknowns, the airing orders are also an unknown.
And my final question, I'll bring it back to you being the real life Indiana Jones. In the series Indiana Jones, he says, a lot of the archaeology is done in the library. In the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he says, you want to be an archaeologist, get out of the library. is the truth somewhere in between? For you, how much of it is research and doing the book work, and how much is actually in the field? Is it 50-50? Is it a little more skewed one way or the other?
I think most of it's in the research, and that's something I can't take credit for here. These guys that we worked with from the Hell Ships Memorial Foundation, they have spent years combing through both the American and the Japanese archives to find information about the location of this lost Hell Ship. Without all of that research and that time, this ship would never be found. It just wouldn't happen. And so this particular discovery is owed entirely to the really dogged work of these researchers. Even using one of the magical new technologies we use all the time on the show is LiDAR, which is this laser mapping software where you can fly a drone or a helicopter over the jungle, and it can, using lasers, strip away the canopy and reveal, lost structures on the forest floor below.
Wow.
But you still have to go out there. You still have to machete your way out and do all of what archaeologists call ground truthing to figure out what this thing really is. And so you can't do it all from a lab. You can't do it all looking at a computer screen. And you can't do it all just by bushwhacking around, right? Otherwise, you're never going to find anything.
Right.
So it is totally a marriage between those things. And I think that I love that that's referenced in Indiana Jones, and that we get to see him back in the classroom, and that he says X never marks the spot and all that good stuff, because it is a nod to the fact that a lot of exploration is like detective work. And detective work requires a lot of that legwork, working the phones and working the angles and learning and putting a case together. And so it's not all just running around and making arrests. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I would say it's definitely a combination.
There you go. And if you want to learn more, it's Wednesday. I misspoke earlier. It's Wednesday, the 24th is when this debuted. 9 p.m. Check your local listings. It's on Discovery Network. Real life adventure and global explorer Josh Gates. I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time, and continued success to you.
Hey, thank you. And I will say, for any folks who missed the first hour, they will show it again the second week before the second part of the show. So lots of opportunities to see the show.
Perfect. Discovery Channel is where it's at. Josh Gates, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, sir.
There he goes, Josh Gates. You can check it out on Discovery Channel. We are going to take a very brief, almost, if you will, a micro commercial break. We'll come right back in just one moment, and we will have Joey V's review of Jackass 5. We'll talk the PlayStation. All that and more. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Please stand by.
Where are the Autobots? Who cares? The Decepticons are gone! Oh no, look! It's Omega Supreme!
Introducing the Autobots Omega Supreme Defense Base. It comes with a motorized tank with flashing turret lights.
Decepticons! Counterattack Omega Supreme!
Transformers!
Omega Supreme will stop them!
Robots in disguise!
Omega Supreme is invincible!
Transformers!
The Transformers, sold separately, batteries not included.
The Sword of Omens, safe in the hands of Lion.
And DogtownPizza.com.
Hi, this is Adrian Huff. It's a Nightcrawler in X-Men 97. And Hathan Kenway at your service in Assassin's Creed 3, as well as a bunch of other things. And you are listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Just coming back with some of the X-Men 97 cast tonight. Just no reason at all. If you're enjoying that show, kudos to you. I'm going to wait until a few more episodes drop before I get into it. But we want to make sure we tell you about our newest sponsor, HW Kia of West County. Go out and see Darren. That's Big D, if you know. He is the best person to see if you're wanting to sell your car. I've sold 2 cars to him, and he's made the process incredibly simple. He's located at 14116 Manchester Road in Manchester, Missouri. You can call them at 636-591-2900 for any questions. Their service department is incredible. I've listened to Big D on Josh and Heidi's show. He's on there frequently. We're going to try to get him on this show to talk about best cars in the movies and TV. We're going to have him on for this segment, kind of talk about that too. But he's such a generous guy. Like, he's always looking to help people. If you're thinking, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get financing for a new car, go talk to Darren. Check him out first before you make those decisions that you can't get a new car, because chances are he will probably be able to get you into one. He's a magician when it comes to that stuff. He knows the right people, the right places that he's going to be able to get you financed. Even if you may have had some trouble in the past, don't give up. Go talk to Big D. Talk to Darren out there at HW Kia of West County. Again, if you're looking to sell a car, I've sold 2 to them now because they made the process so easy for me. It takes all the stress out of it. Sometimes it's stressful. You're worried about, I got to get the title and all this kind of stuff. Go talk to him. Let him know what you've got, what you might want for it, and he's going to streamline the entire sales process for you. Service center is fantastic too. So once you get your car, trying to figure out, you're going to get service. Well, it's got oil change. It's got this. Go talk to him because the service department there is incredible at HW Kia as well. So if you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, whatever it might be you're looking to do, maybe trade in, don't go anywhere else. First stop should be Big D out there at HW Kia of West County. Again, 14116 Manchester Road, Manchester, Missouri, 636-591-2900. Give them a call. They open Monday at 9 a.m. Tell them you heard about it on Geek to Me Radio. Before we get into the Sony thing, I know Joey got to see the new Jackass movie. I have only ever seen the very first of the Jackass movies. So they say it's billed as the last one. What were your thoughts? Did they go out with a bang?
This is Jackass Best and Last, the 5th and final installment to the Jackass franchise, where the crew go on one last insane crusade. And the TV show premiered on MTV back in the year 2000. I mean, how old are we? My goodness.
That doesn't seem right.
It inspired people to get in trouble. I mean, we were doing pranks. We were filming them. We were incriminating ourselves. Nothing's changed. That's all TikTok is, just people doing crimes and posting them. But I've always loved pranks. I actually, every April Fool's, I would take a rubber band, I'd color it black with a marker, and I'd put it on the hand sprayer on the sink. And then when my mom would get up, she would spray herself in the face when she was making her coffee. And I loved that so much. There was lots of pranks in Boy Scouts as well, but it's just the perfect time. We had wrestling that was getting more real, and we had Jackass that was showing us that you didn't need a script. And that first movie, when I saw it, it actually made me cry the whole weekend after I saw it. Like, I was at school on Monday, and I was picturing Steve-O shooting that firework out of his bottom, and I would just start laughing so hard in the middle of class. Just that memory of me watching the movie. So I've always been chasing that high of Steve-O's butt. And, every movie after that has been wonderful as well. We had Jackass Forever, and that introduced a whole new cast and crew. There was even a girl. We've never had a lady Jackass before, really. And in Jackass 5, it's all wasted. There is nothing to do with this new cast and crew, basically, and it's mostly a clip show because best in the Best and Last title stands for Best of. So I accidentally became an obsessive with the Jackass family, and so I have seen all of the movies. Every movie had a half movie as well. There was like Jackass 2.5, where it was bonus footage, 3.5, 4.5, Bad Grandpa 0.5. I've seen their side projects like Camp Kill Yourself or Steve-O's podcast. The documentary about the magazine that they all worked at called Big Brother. I've seen that. So I have seen all of this stuff, which makes a clip show not very appealing to someone like me. I was taking notes of every single stunt in Jackass 5. There's about 33 stunts, and only 12 of them are even new. So not even half. And there's really only one stunt that I thought is really inspired. I can explain it if you'd like. If your children are awake, please put them to bed. It's like 9:48.
Almost 10 o'clock. What kind of parent?
The 4 guys, because they're very old, they're in their 50s now, they decide to take some of the colonoscopy prep drink and chug it, and then they put on clear plastic pants and they play a game of Twister. And then brown fluid explodes out of all of them and on each other. And this was something I think should be in the Library of Congress, the National Film Registry. This is the type of slapstick that I think Buster Keaton would have done back in the day if he had this sort of technology. I mean, these guys are geniuses. The problem with this 5th one also is that they got together, from what I hear, for 5 days in a warehouse and then just did some rapid-fire pranks and then went home. But it's nothing like you remember where they would go out in public. They're too famous now. And that was some of their best stuff. Just Wee Man running past with giant Preston Lacey, and they're both in their underwear and making people turn their heads like, what the heck's going on? No one gets hurt, and it's not that gross. It's just funny. And all of that is missing. And you see Johnny Knoxville, the leader of the crew, cry 2 times. I don't want to see my best friends in this parasocial relationship sad. They're your bros. You're supposed to be hanging out with them. So any Jackass movie is better than no Jackass movie.
Sure.
So there's some caveats I'll say. Don't watch all of the movies beforehand to get ready, because they're going to be replayed.
Yeah.
And if you can, take someone who's never seen the movies in theater and listen to their joy, because you're still seeing some incredible stuff. Some of the best stuff that they've ever done is up there on the screen. My girl, I think she maybe have only seen a couple of them in theaters, so she was laughing at more stuff than I was. And then I went to a fan event, which means they had a celebrity come by and introduce the movie. And the celebrity that we got was local radio DJ from 105.7 The Point, Donnie Fandango.
Oh, yeah. Went to high school with Donnie.
And he announced that his 12-year-old was in the audience, and this is the first R-rated movie that he was ever seeing. So he was finding out in real time if he was a bad parent. I recommend that. Bring the youngest kid you can
there you go.
and see their reaction. It'll blow their mind. So I give Jackass 5 3 stars out of 5, but still, it's fun to be in the theater with these guys. I am reading about at least 15 other stunts that weren't even in the movie, so maybe there will be a Jackass 5.5 that'll come out. It's weird that they wouldn't have put it in this movie.
The best and a half?
Yeah, it's weird also because it's gotten very bad word of mouth. I mean,
a clip show, that doesn't sound good to me. If I've already seen the other ones, why would I go see this?
That's what everyone's saying. It's just a clip show, so these Jackass movies on opening weekend guarantee that they opened to $23 million. The third one, which was in 3D, so you could say double the price for a ticket, that opened to $50 million. This one, $8 million,
Ooh.
dead on arrival, but put any movie in theater. That's always what we say. Even if you're going to go to streaming in a few months, still put it in theater because it gives it a sense of quality to it when it does go to streaming. It does even better. The facts are in. Don't go straight to streaming. That COVID experiment that HBO did where they went straight to HBO, that messed a bunch of stuff up. And I think that these... The day and date stuff is over, and theaters now know that if you're going to come to us, you need to give us 45 days of exclusivity, and it'll work out better for the industry. But still, if you can, go see Jackass 5 in the theater. You're never going to see these things that big with that good of a sound system on the big screen.
And just for those of you wondering, Jackass Best and Last, in its second week, only brought in $14.6 million at the box office. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th place behind Minions and Monsters at number 1, Toy Story 5 number 2, Young Washington debuted at number 3 from Angel Studios, Supergirl down to 4th place in its second weekend. Ouch. Disclosure Day at 5th, and finally, I think this is the first time Obsession has not been in the top 5 in its 8th week at the box office. It's still brought in $5.3 million. I'm sorry, Jackass only brought in $2.7 million this weekend. 14.6 is its total cum for both weeks.
You got to think this is something to do with the Paramount Warner Brothers merger. They needed to get a quick buck in or something, and so they had them get together in a warehouse for less than $1 million and put something out. But when you're splitting that little money among 25 people, it doesn't go very far. So the pain that they're putting themselves in, you're in the back of your head thinking, this is just sad, actually.
Yeah,
everyone should have gone for it instead.
Well, I mean, hey, it's the last one, so what can you do? Too bad they didn't go out. Sounds like they went out with a whimper instead of a bang, though, at that kind of box office. Speaking of box office, we're going to talk very briefly here about PlayStation 6. Sony made the big announcement. It was the trifecta thing. They talked about incorporating more AI into their product, which didn't please a lot of people. Then they decided to quietly remove 500 plus movies from their streaming store, which that ticked a lot of people off because obviously you paid for the movie. That made me mad. I can't remember what the movie was, honestly, but Amazon Prime, I bought a movie 15 years ago now, whatever it was, and I went to get it and I'm like, oh, it's gone. And I messaged, oh, we've taken that movie off our server. But I paid for it. I didn't rent it. Like when it comes up on Amazon Prime, you can rent it for $3.99 or you can buy it for $14.99. I bought it, and this just goes to my case, which I've been making forever, buy physical media. But then on top of that, Sony's announcement that the PlayStation 6, if you want the newest Grand Theft Auto, it's not going to be a physical disc. We're not going to do that anymore. We're only going to do digital downloads, which a lot of people are saying, hey, you're just going to take these away from us. So what's the point of us buying? They've made no concessions in the price. It's not like, oh, you're getting this. I think, was it the PS5 that had, you could physically buy a attachable drive for it so you could play discs and games like that?
I know most of these have two models you can get, one with a drive and one without a drive. And I think it may be cheaper without a drive, but I would always get the drive, especially when the PS5 can play 4K movies. I mean, that's the most one of the most affordable ways you could play these new 4K movies.
Yeah, and so they're doing away with the physical drive as well. You won't be able to get that anymore. And there's a lot of people online. This has created a huge online backlash. For a while, I accidentally clicked like on too many of the stories and then posts people were putting on Threads. And my Threads, if you go onto there right now, it's just full of the algorithm that's now feeding me all these people who are, in addition to my normal comic book fare that's on my Threads, I'm getting a ton of gaming threads. People are posting stuff, and I took screenshots of some of the ones so I wouldn't forget. There are people obviously who are upset, and this has led to some articles like IGN Business Insider, IGN has an article headline, PlayStation's physical media-free future isn't just concerning, it's offensive. This is IGN's a pretty big name in the gaming sphere because they review video games and movies and things like that. Business Insider picking this up. Brands smell blood in the water after PlayStation axes games disc. They're roasting Sony for it. And I've seen like Wendy's and KFC, fast food restaurants are taking shots at them. And I think it was Rocksteady Studios quietly took their label off of some of these new PlayStation games that are coming out because like, ooh, we don't want to be associated with this decision, which is very interesting that they're kind of backing off. Hasbro has been kind of taking shots at them online and social media, which Wendy's and Arby's and everything are really good at trolling all people on social media, but they're taking it to like a Gail Simone level of trolling now that all these other companies are coming out. So I think this backlash, I don't know if it's going to impact Sony. They may just feel like, no, we don't care. But there's also people online, Twitter user Mr. Pio, Pyo #1, has an actual description of how to cancel or unsubscribe from your PlayStation Plus and how to cancel your order if you pre-order the PS6. And it's got how to do it from a web browser, from a PS5 console. I don't know if there's going to be a backlash big enough that's going to make Sony backpedal on this, though. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it seems like if you take it at the facts of the number of people who are affected, it's not that many people when it comes down to Studio Canal doesn't own all the movies in the universe. And apparently their deal with Sony is only affected in the UK and Europe. So that's not me, so who cares? But then eventually you go, well, no, you buy something, you should own it. Right. Obviously, we're big physical media people, so we're always going to push for this. But still, it's basically theft, which is convenient because Grand Theft Auto 6 also isn't going to be in a physical media form. Something that I had the issue of dealing with is I really supported the Google Stadia platform, which is video gaming, but it was in the cloud, and you could play it anywhere. You could play your game on the phone, and then you could play it on the TV. You could play it on your computer. And then Google Stadia went and was canceled, but they refunded every single purchase anyone ever made over the life of that program. And so I got my refunds back for my games. And I think that if Sony ends up doing this where they delete people's libraries, they have to give a refund or there's going to be a class action suit. Or they could just be playing hardball with Studio Canal, saying, hey, we don't know. It's their problem, not our problem.
It's a big gamble to take, though, and have the backlash they're facing just to make a point to Studio Canal.
Yeah, they sound like they are unapologetic about it. This happened in 2023 with Discovery, where Discovery was going to take off 1,300 seasons of all their awful television from Sony, and then eventually it all got fixed by the deadline. So they have until September 1st to reach a deal with Studio Canal, and we'll see if this gets worse. But yeah, we are all pushing back on this where it's just like, all of it coming together. Burgers are $20 and I don't own my physical media. What is the world coming to? AI's taking our jobs. I want to see real life concerts with real humans playing music. I don't want AI country songs making it to the top of the charts. Yeah, it's all a big wave coming at once, and we're all just confused, like saying, no, we will go outside and touch grass. You're right.
Well, I think you and I talked off air. I've seen younger people. I'm not sure what age, where the cutoff for Gen Z is, but I was at Toyman. They have a show coming up, by the way, this month, later in July, toyman.com. The kid's walking out in his early 20s carrying VHS tapes. I'm like, what are you doing with those? He had his grandparents' VCR. Him and his grandfather, or him and his father, I can't remember, fixed it up. And we're watching these. He goes, plus I love the art on these. And he started explaining, you put these in and you rewind them. I'm like, no, I understand how VHS works. Trust me. But I think there are more people going back, like my niece. I always point to her about getting into, she wanted an original Nintendo and a Super Nintendo so she can play the original Zelda games. I think that hunger for social media, I think they're on the wrong side of this because it's starting to circle back around where people are going to want physical media again. I think they've just picked the exact wrong time to be taking this position.
Yeah, I'm tired of paying $15 a month for something I don't own, and so I've canceled all of my streaming stuff, and now I buy like one movie a month at least.
Yeah.
And it's that money still being spent, but now I own it, and
right,
I love
exactly.
that.
That's the way to do it. That's Joey V. Thank you very much for coming in, making the show sound and look as good as it does. Thank you to Dr. Tom Wagner. Check out his Sunday Morning Cafe event August 2nd at TomWagnerSpeaker.com. Thanks to Josh Gates and the Discovery Channel for that interview. Thank you to all of you for listening, and until next week, my friends.
You look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's a show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's a show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Webster Groves. Good night.
The Big 550 KTRS.